Hello, and welcome back to what on earth is going on in the real estate market. In the last video, we talked about how this low inventory is causing the increase in home prices that we're seeing. And every single year, the inventory keeps getting lower and lower and lower, and that's why our home prices are still skyrocketing. So we understand the problem is low inventory, but what's the solution? And a lot of times I hear this thrown out there, well, why don't we just build more homes? So I want to take a deep dive on that today. So what we can see here is we used to build a ton of homes every single year, but after the crash of 2008, that number dropped off pretty severely. And the reason for that is a lot of banks closed down at that time, so it became more difficult to get commercial lending. So after the market bottomed out in 2012 and home prices started to increase, we see the number of homes being built every year increased as well. But we're still not building as many homes as we did in the past, and it's not keeping up with our population growth. So obviously we've been in a fantastic economy for about 10 years now, so why hasn't the number of homes caught up? And the reason for that is primarily here in Washington state, based on our geography, right? Right now we can talk about the supply chain issues and the labor shortage that came out of the pandemic, but prior to that, we in Washington were still having a hard time building as many homes as we needed to keep up with our population growth. So this crazy appreciation that we're seeing here in Washington, we've actually been seeing for the past 10 years. Essentially, as soon as the economy started getting back on track, our home prices started flying through the roof. But if you look at other areas in the country, you'll notice that their crazy appreciation, like the skyrocketing that we've been seeing recently, didn't really take off except for in the last couple of years. They definitely had appreciation. We're still in a great economy, but these outrageous through the roof prices didn't really start happening until the last couple of years here, right? So part of the reason for that is due to the supply chain issues and the labor shortages. So when we look at the data, we can see that Washington state permitted just over 56,000 new construction homes back in 2021. But we look down here and we look at states like Florida and Texas, and they had over 200,000 new construction homes that were permitted. So what's the disconnect here? Well, when you look at places like Texas, they are primarily big, broad, and flat. You look at Florida and we see the same thing. Florida is significantly smaller, but they still had the second largest number of new construction homes permitted, and that is because they are primarily flat. So we take a look at Washington and we get a better understanding. We have so many protected lands, all of these national forests here, where we simply cannot build. And then where we're not landlocked, we're waterlocked. So if we look at the population of Washington, we know that the majority of people live right here in King County, and we've become extremely dense. So really the only way to build a new construction house or to build our way out of it, specifically here in Washington, is to rip down an existing home and build another one or a couple in their place. We can always try and see if we can get lucky. Maybe somebody who has a lot of land is willing to sell you a portion of it or all of it, which you can then subdivide and develop on. But those opportunities are becoming scarcer and scarcer as we develop the majority of our land. And so I bring us back to these numbers here, right? We can see in Washington in 2021, they permitted over 56,000 homes. But when we break that down, the majority of those homes were actually 5 or more units on the same lot. So we're talking condos and townhouses, and those are not the most desirable pieces of property. As we know from COVID, people are trying to move out. They want more space. Less than half of the new construction permits that were issued were actually for single family homes on their own lot. And those are the most desirable pieces of property. We come down here into Texas and Florida, right? Texas, we had over 260,000 new construction homes permitted in 2021. The majority of those, 176,000 of them, were single family houses on an individual lot. They had less than 80,000 that were townhouses or condos. We come to Florida, we see the exact same thing. The majority of their homes were built on single family lots. But in Washington, because of our geography, we simply don't have the real estate left, right? So we know that our land is pretty well tapped out, and that's not to say that we can't build new houses. Obviously we can, we're doing it every single day, but we can't do it to the scale that other states might be able to. So what does that mean for real estate prices in Washington. While home prices might fluctuate, they might go up, they might go down a little bit, unless there's some crazy act of God that we cannot foresee, we can assume that these real estate prices are going to continue their trend upwards because we cannot make more land. So I hope that sheds some light on why the market in Washington, especially the Puget Sound area of Washington, Seattle, Tacoma, has been so wicked hot for the last 10 years. Now in my next video, we're going to be talking about the rise of interest rate. Interest rates are going up right now, and I want to talk about exactly how I think that's going to impact the market based on a case study of when it happened back in 2018. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow along, and I will see you guys real soon. Take care.